Krishna. Welcome everyone. Today is 30 April 2022 and in person we have Dira Govinda Prabhu, Rohini Prabhu, Mother Ratneshwari, Bhaktin Priel, Tamal Krishna Prabhu and Mother Malini. And online, Bhakta Nico, Bhakta George, Gajendra Prabhu, Mother Lakshmi Priya, Bhaktin Kim, Mother Anasuya and Mother Rukmini. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Nara Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Shah Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati utama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in the classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving devotional service unto personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, and then Chapter 2, Remembrance of Krishna, and text 10. 3, 2, 10. Okay. Devasya Mayaya Sprashta.
Devasya Mayaya Sprashta.
Yechanya. I will meet some people who are not muted here. Okay, good. Yechanyat asat ashrita.
Yechanyat asat ashrita.
Brahmyate dhirnatad vakyer.
Brahmate dhirnatad vakyer.
Atman yuktat manoharo.
Atman yuktat manoharo.
Devasya Mayaya Sprishta.
Devasya Mayaya Sprishta.
Yechanyat asat ashrita.
Yechanyat asat ashrita.
Brahmyate dhirnatad vakyar.
Brahmyate dhirnatad vakyer.
Atman yuktat manoharo.
Atman yuktat manoharo.
Devasya Mayaya Sprishta.
Devasya Mayaya Sprishta.
Yechanyat asad ashrita.
Yechanyat asat ashrita.
Brahmyate dhirnatad vakyer.
Brahmyate dhirnatad vakyer.
Atman yuktat manoharo.
Atman yuktat manoharo. Devasya Mayaya Sprishta.
Devasya Mayaya Sprishta.
Yechanyat asat ashrita.
Yechanyat asat ashrita.
Brahmyate dhirnatad vakyer.
Brahmyate dhirnatad vakyer.
Atman yuktat manoharo.
Atman yuktat manoharo.
Devasya Mayaya Sprishta.
Devasya Mayaya Sprishta.
Yechanyada Sadashrita.
Yechanyata Sadashrita.
Brahmyate Dhirnatad Vakyer.
Brahmyate dhirnatad vakyer.
Atmanuktat Manoharo.
Atman Atmat Yuktat Manoharo.
Devasya Mayaya Sristya.
Devasya Mayaya Srishta.
Ye Chanyad Asad Asrita.
Ye Chanyat Asat Ashrita.
Ramyate Dirnatad Vakya.
Ramyate Dirnatad Vakyer.
Atman Yuktat Manoharo.
Atmat Yuktat Manoharo. Anyone online would like to chant?
Devasya Mayaya Sprista.
Devasya Mayaya Sprishta.
Ye Chanara Sarasrita.
Ye Chanyat Asat Ashrita.
Brahmyate Dirnatad Vakyer.
Brahmate Dirnatad Vakyer.
Atman Uptatmano Haro.
Atman Yuktat Manoharo.
Devasya Mayaya Sprishta.
Devasya Mayaya Sprishta.
Ye Chanya Rasarashrita.
Ye Chanyat Asat Ashrita.
Ramyate Dirnatad Vakyer.
Brahmate Dirnatad Vakyer.
Atman Yuktat Manoharo.
Atman Yuktat Manoharo. Okay, we will go to the word from word. Devasya,
Devasya,
of the personality of Godhead.
of the personality of Godhead.
Mayaya,
Mayaya.
by the influence of external energy.
By the influence of external energy.
Sprishta,
Srishta.
infected.
Infected.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all those.
All those.
Cha,
Cha.
and
And
Anyat,
Anya.
others.
Others.
Asa,
Asa.
illusory.
Illusory.
Ashrita,
Ashrita.
being taken to.
Being taken to.
Brahmyate,
Ramyate.
bewildered.
Bewildered.
D,
D.
intelligence.
Intelligence.
Na,
Na.
not,
Not.
that.
Tat.
Of them.
Of them.
Vakya,
Vakya.
by those words.
By those words.
Atmani,
Atmani.
in the Supreme Self.
In the Supreme Self.
Upta Atmana,
Rupta Atmana.
surrendered souls.
Surrendered souls.
Haro,
Hello.
unto the Lord.
Unto the Lord.
Translation. Under no circumstances can the words of person bewildered by the illusory energy of the Lord deviate the intelligence of those who are completely surrendered souls. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Lord Shri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead according to all evidences of the Vedas. He is accepted by all acharyas, including Shripas Shankaracharya. But when he was present in the world, different classes of men accepted him differently, and therefore their calculations of the Lord were also different. Generally, persons who had faith in the revealed scripture accepted the Lord as he is, and all of them merged into great bereavement when the Lord disappeared from the world. In the first canto, we have already discussed the lamentation of Arjuna and Yudhishthira, to whom the disappearance of Lord Krishna was almost intolerable up to the end of their lives. The Yadavas were only partially cognizant of the Lord, but they are also glorious because they had the opportunity to associate with the Lord, who acted as the head of their family, and they also rendered the Lord intimate service. The Yadavas and other devotees of the Lord are different from those who wrongly calculated him to be an ordinary human personality. Such persons are certainly bewildered by the illusory energy. They are hellish and are envious of the Supreme Lord. The illusory energy acts very powerfully on them because in spite of their elevated mundane education, such persons are faceless and are infected by the mentality of atheism. They are always very eager to establish that Lord Krishna was an ordinary man who was killed by a hunter due to his many impious acts in plotting to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and Jarasandha, the demoniac kings of the earth. Such persons have no faith in the statement of the Bhagavad Gita that the Lord is unaffected by the reactions of work. Namam karmani limpanti. According to the atheistic point of view, Lord Krishna's family, the Yadu dynasty, was vanquished due to being cursed by the Brahmanas for the sins committed by Krishna in killing the sons of Dhritarashtra and so on. All these blasphemies do not touch the heart of the devotees of the Lord because they know perfectly well that what is what. Their intelligence regarding the Lord is never disturbed. But those who are disturbed by the statements of the asuras are also condemned. That is what Uddhava meant in this verse. Om Jnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamahayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamcha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangem Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Garadhara Shri Vasadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Samyavri Pashaparesha Parine. We'll read the verse again. Devasya Mayaya Sprishta Yechanyat Asat Ashrita Brahmyate Dhirnatan Vakyer Atmanya Tatmanoharo. Under no circumstances can the words of persons bewildered by the illusory energy of the Lord deviate the intelligence of those who are completely surrendered souls. So even my mind can deviate my intelligence, not to speak of other persons. But before I get there, I knew I was quite confident that I will have this verse 2 weeks ago when Mother Malini told me that I will give class today. I made a count. And everyone before me followed where we are at regularly in Srimad Bhagavatam. So I was meditating on surrender, and I have a lot to say. But just like when Rohini was singing Jai Radha Madhava, and there were all these fans going on, and then I felt wind on my head, and I covered my head, and then I remembered summer 2015. I was living with Dhira Govinda Prabhu, and I was giving a class. And I was not very dressed. I had like a short skirt and whatever. I wasn't very dressed. So after the class, he came to me, Dhira Govinda Prabhu, and he told me, at least when you give class, if you could like cover your shoulders and your legs and your head. Anyway, it was very embarrassing. And I felt so resistant, especially the head part. And I think like few times, just to surrender, I follow to cover my head, but I never do it for classes because like no one else ever does it. And I just don't want to be like the only one. But today, because it was windy, I was like, oh, I surrender. I surrender to the instruction. So actually that's not a surrender. That's like being forced by the material nature. So that's like basically the choice we have. Actually, the fan is off now, so if you don't mind, I will take this off too. Because now I'm not hot, now I'm not cold, I'm hot. So I'm sorry. It's difficult for me to surrender. Malini said oh, it's great that you have this verse. I really don't know why. But so where I'm going with this is we can surrender voluntarily, or we can surrender involuntarily. So that's our choice, really. That's our choice in this world. So, like as Prabhupada says, like everyone will offer dandavat at the time of death. So we can offer our obeisances now to Krishna and bow down now to Krishna, or the old age will take care for it. So my inspiration in that spirit of surrender has been recently Walter Žižek. He has been in Siberian camp, working camp in Russia. And he is really like the condition he is in is like the most miserable condition I can imagine. And he was a Christian priest. There's a book, you can read a book from his like memories. He survived, he was there 15 years. He survived and came back to the United States and wrote a book about his experience. And it's quite fascinating how he really like sees this like as opportunity to like deeper surrender. And he's thinking like, okay, if the Lord, like I am here, so it must be that the Lord wants me to be here. So what is my service? And he's like creating so many incredible ways of service, like preaching to the other prisoners. And I don't know what's Christian version of Prashadam, but he's doing Prashadam distribution. And he's like preaching to the other priests to like uplift their spirit and like, this is such a wonderful opportunity. Look, like the people in this prison, they are suffering tremendously. And we are here to help them, like what the mercy of the Lord is. So he has this mood of like pure, like get to spirit, full surrender. And so sometimes like when we have to energy about something like resentment, like this is really hard, I don't want to do this. So oftentimes it can be indication it's time to do something else. But I would think more than that, oftentimes it's time to change the attitude. And that's always available because like, okay, let's do something else with my life. That's not always available, but let's change the attitude. That's always available. And we don't have to go too far to Walter Žižek. No one, or many people don't know him here. He's amazing. And Prabhupada, when he came to New York, it's like a similar situation. He's in such a miserable condition from my point of view, for sure. He's like elderly body, which is like not like so fun to like, I mean, when someone is 20, it's much easier to like go through like weather, whatever difficulties, or you know, I remember when I was 20, I could not eat for 5 days and then sleep on the ground and things like this. And now I'm 35, it's not 70. It's already so much more difficult to like undergo like these austerities for the body. So Prabhupada is 70. He's after 2 heart attacks, he has no money. Then there is like the snow in New York. And the environment is miserable, maybe even more miserable than the working camp in Siberia in many ways, like with like the association that he's getting. And he writes that in his poem. I love that poem. I don't remember the Bengali now, but he says like, Krishna, why did you brought me here? Why did you brought me to this terrible place? I guess you must have some purpose here. You must have some purpose here. Otherwise you wouldn't have bring me here. So Prabhupada is like the same mood of the pure devotee. Like, okay, I really don't know why am I here. This is terrible. Prabhupada says, this is terrible. But I don't know why am I here, but it must be the Lord's plan that I am here. So that's surrender. So I'm going to Czech Republic today. So I might remember that. Like, Krishna, why are you bringing me to such a terrible place? It cannot be my karma, for sure. Anyway, so yeah, there must be some purpose. There always is. That's the beautiful thing about devotional service, that we can do devotional service wherever we are and under any conditions we are. And like last year I went for a surgery, and it was after like 5th miscarriage that I had, and it was like all miserable, and I was like naked on the table with my like legs spread and hands spread, and they were like putting needles in me, and I was chanting, and it wasn't like there wasn't like anything esoteric. There was like nothing esoteric about it. It is just like that my mind was focusing on the Maha Mantra and I was peaceful, and that was it. So it's always under any conditions, and under any conditions this is available. So surrender. Surrender is an important quality. It's like the ultimate or the last instruction of Bhagavad Gita. Sarva dharma parityagya mamekam saranam raja. From sarva papabhyo mokshaisami masucha. There is like a voice from behind the corner advising me. It must be Super Soul or something.
It's the Paramatma.
I didn't know that Paramatma lived behind corners, but it's everywhere. So just surrender unto me, Arjuna. Abandon all kinds of religion and just surrender unto me. And what Krishna promised, and then I will deliver you from all kinds of sinful reaction. Do not fear. I am in like a lot of reading groups now, so I don't know when we read it, but I believe it was yesterday, Krishna book. Srila Prabhupada said that this like that we are not surrendering, the no surrender is the primary cause of all sinful activities. Like all sinful activities originates from not being surrendered. So and it's like kind of like reversely said what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. If you surrender, no more sinful reaction. If you don't surrender, so many sinful reaction. And then so the sinful reaction is really like this. It's so miserable to resist the situation where we are at. That itself like in my experience, the pain of resisting the situation is so much greater than the pain of the situation. And the lives of these saintly people are like confirming that. Like imagine to be like Siberia working camp, 15 years. And because he's not resisting, he's like looking, okay, what's the opportunity here for my growth, for supporting others and coming closer to the Lord. And the suffering is like really minimized. It's not even suffering. So, right, surrender. So, surrender is important thing. So, how do we do that? Yes, that's a great question. So, I mean, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has his Sharanagati. So, I just recently like learned from Bhakta Niko and Mother Nanda. It's fun to like ask questions to the audience. So what are the 6 steps of surrender by Bhaktivinoda Thakur? I will need English.
The Super Soul is speaking.
Super Soul speaking.
Accepting what's favorable.
Accepting what's favorable.
Rejecting what's unfavorable.
Rejecting what's unfavorable. The silent voice of the Super Soul is so silent today. Humility. So we have 3.
Trusting that Krishna is our protector.
Trusting that Krishna is our protector.
And like only taking shelter in Krishna and nothing else.
Yeah, that's like the protector and maintainer. He maintains us and protects us. And just offering Krishna oneself. Offering Krishna very self. I'm so glad that I have the Super Soul guidance, that I don't make like any philosophical faults. So like we could do like a series of classes on each of these. So I will go rather quickly, maybe pause somewhere more. So humility. That's the first one, actually. That's the first one of to surrender. So, and then there is so many like lists of qualities of like the devotees or what Krishna considers as knowledge. It always starts with humility. So humility is important. And Krishna doesn't really like false pride. There is nothing attractive about it. And as we spoke before, it's quite fascinating for the Jiva in the Kali Yuga to have like any sort of false pride. But we are like somehow still capable to like be proud of being in the prison. But look at me, I am in the prison. I'm a bad guy. So humility is like really knowing our position. No, I'm suffering here. I had a Bhagavad Gita reading group with the Czech Bhaktins, and one of them said, like, I read this purport and it feels like I am like a worm in the stool or something. And she was like, resentful. And I said, yes, you are. And it really helped her to like see it's true. Like we are like so dependent. We are so dependent on the mercy of the material nature and of Krishna, of like the elements, like it's like I cannot like move my hand without the sanction of the Lord. I think I can, but then maybe I have experience like in life that I am not able. Like I had like a back pain that I couldn't move. I could only lay down flat in the bed for 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden, like, wow, I cannot move my body without the sanction of the Lord. So it's true all the time, but when these things that we think we are like so in charge of are taken away, that's when we start to realize. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the materialistic person, the demon thinks, I am the controller, I am the doer, I am like supreme, powerful, I am wonderful, I am happy, I accumulated so much money now, and that much I will accumulate tomorrow, and I defeated this enemy. And it's just like, and I can like, if I look in myself, it's like going on like constantly this like false pride. So what's good about practicing Krishna consciousness? Chetodarpanam Archanam, Davamaha Davagninirvapanam, that this chanting of Maha Mantra is burning to ashes this false pride. And I can also see that in my life, like everything, probably not everything, but a lot of things I have been proud of were just taken away completely, like burning to ashes. And not that I am surrendered about it, I'm resisting. Like, for example, I used to get up like at 4 a.m. every morning for 2 years, and I was so proud about it. And now I get up at like 9 a.m. and I'm kind of like glad that I did at least that. And it is like, and I can do like coaching and commitments and accountability check, I don't know, all these things. And it never goes anywhere. In the morning, my mind is just somewhere else. Then it was like in the evening, making all these like wonderful plans. And the false pride is really gone. And the judgment about people who don't get up is gone. Or like with the baby, when I was pregnant, I was so proud to be a mother. And I was looking at like other women who didn't have children. And I thought like, wow, like they are like really useless. I was so proud. And even like people, even the devotees would tell me like, you look so complete, you know, and it's just like, okay, so now I'm like complete, like a real woman or something. And then the baby was taken away. And I was like, oh, I get it wasn't like my, how is it said? Like it wasn't like my accomplishment. Like nothing is really my accomplishment in this world. I might desire something, and then Krishna might reciprocate with my desire or not. But like nothing is my accomplishment. So yeah, it's nice to like see to get all this burned to ashes. I don't really like that. It's like a Sankirtan experience. I think Sankirtan, like Srila Prabhupada wanted us to go distribute books for others, but also like, and maybe especially for his disciples, because it's such a like real time experience of this like false ego being slashed. Like we went, like with my friend Christina, we did some Christmas marathon. And then on first day, I don't know, I distributed the book, maybe one, but for me, it's like a big thing. And I was so proud. So the next day I didn't distribute anything. I was like, okay, Krishna, I get it. So the first day, I felt so humble. I felt so humble. Like, it was like so like at the core of my heart, like really knowing like how like insignificant I am and I have no power to like meet the right person. And immediately within like a moment, like the first person I approached that day took Bhagavad Gita. So I was like, oh, I get it. I just like need to be like really humble. And most humble. So I'm like kind of artificially keeping myself in that mood. Nothing, no one took Bhagavad Gita for next 2 days. Anyway, so it's like a great opportunity for that, because there it's just like so much more obvious. It just feels like so like the cause and effect is so made for the purification. Last week we went with Rohini and Parampara and Garuda and Nico and Damayanti and Nalini, Subal, Lieto and Cipriani. I don't know their spiritual names. Siddhanta and Lakshmana. My super soul know everything. So it was so nice. It was so nice. Like this force to surrender and then be with the group of brothers and sisters, and I was just so like the feeling of humility is just so freeing. So freeing. And then Rohini was leading. We had a woman and she came to me and she's like, what is this? Like, my heart is throbbing. My heart is throbbing for love for Jesus. Like, what are you saying? What are you saying? And I said, yeah, we are saying Hare Krishna in the heart. I said, you know, like Krishna is like the same word in Sanskrit as Christ is in Hebrew. And I gave her Bhagavad Gita and she opened it on the verse for free. Today I am telling you this knowledge, Arjuna, because you are my devotee and you are my friend. And she just got goosebumps and she gave a donation and got Bhagavad Gita. And since then I became so proud. Anyway, so it's a constant, it is a constant, like if something good is happening to me, I am proud because I did it. And if something bad is happening to me, I am angry with Krishna because he did it. So that's not surrender. So let me see what's my notes. Right, so that was humility. That was a track where I am. Humility or not humility. And then offering Krishna one very self. So I am thinking to read you about Maharaj Ambarish. He inspired me. Oh, I don't. Oh, yes, I do. So that's good. Okay. King Ambarish fixed his mind on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, engaged his words in describing the abode of the Lord, his hands in cleansing the temple of the Lord, his ears in hearing the pastimes of the Lord, his eyes in seeing the form of the Lord, his body in touching the body of the devotee, his nostrils in smelling the flavor of the flowers offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, his tongue in tasting the tulasi leaves offered to him, his legs in traveling to the holy place where his temple is situated, his head in offering obeisances unto the Lord, and his desires in fulfilling the desires of the Lord. All this qualification made him fit to become a Matpara devotee of the Lord. So everything, like later, like it's a 261 purport, and then it's like the section where Krishna describes how like any one of the senses which is not engaged can completely carry us away. So offering everything to the Lord. So there is like no space for any of the senses or for the mind to like do something else other than to focus on Krishna. We give him our heart, our bodies, our minds, everything. So, and Srila Prabhupada gave us a very practical process how to do that. With a sandwich program, morning program, evening program, and a service that help us remember Krishna in between. And Right. Then we have accepting Krishna as the protector and the maintainer. So, yeah, that's like let's say I'm going to work and I'm making money. So again, it's not me making money. It's just like naturally, like everyone is doing something. Everyone is doing something, and then naturally we are maintained by the Lord. So, and Krishna is protecting us, not necessarily the material body, but the soul never gets destroyed. There's so many verses in Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 how the soul cannot be destroyed by anything. So Krishna is the ultimate protection. And like even on the material platform, again, like I cannot protect myself. Like I can do my 100% to try, but ultimately I cannot protect myself. I couldn't protect my baby. I couldn't protect my grandfather who just passed a month ago. His last desire was to drink beer. So he wakes up, drinks beer, and 10 minutes later he's gone. So we all have a different last desires. So I couldn't protect him from that. So Krishna, really know Krishna is like we are not entitled to any results of our activities. Be it like the result of, oh, I worked really hard, so I have money now, or the result like, oh, I'm like protecting my body or my children or my garden. So of course, everything is like flourishing. No, it's always the mercy and the grace of the Lord. And then we have accepting everything that's favorable and rejecting everything that's unfavorable. So in the Nectar of Devotion reading group, so many reading groups. In the Nectar of Devotion reading group, we were reading how the remembering Krishna is like the mother of all the regulative principles. So to remember Krishna and never forget him is the mother of all the other rules and regulations. So what will help us to remember Krishna and what will help us to forget Krishna? And I think it's very personal. Like, for example, when I'm driving a car, it's the easiest time for me to remember Krishna and chant focus. Not that I want to count it as my rounds, but it's a time for me that I know it's like a very focused, peaceful japa when I'm driving a car. And it doesn't have to be like this for everyone. So like to like really know ourselves and know what like help us to remember Krishna and know what helps us to forget Krishna. And then also we have like a lot of guidance, starting with Prabhupada's sandwich program. But I want to read from Rupa Goswami about that. So Rupa Goswami says, one's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities: eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. So eating more than necessary is practically always meat eating. It's eating more than necessary. And then collecting more funds than required. It can be collecting of anything really, like collecting knowledge, I was collecting stamps when I was little, like when you get a postcard. Anyway, so that's just like clutters. I can feel it. I was just speaking with Malini yesterday about it. Like when we have like a lot of things in our house, because Yogeshwara likes to collect, opportunity to complain about my husband during the Bhagavatam class. So he likes to collect like everything. Like let's say we have like something comes like ordered online and it comes in the paper box and he wants to collect the paper box because it might be useful one day. So we have like a full room of paper boxes and then like I want to throw it away and he gets angry with me. So then we got some mice that like started to live in the boxes, so that I finally got the permission to get rid of the boxes, but it was still hard for him. And those that weren't like too much urine of the mice on the boxes. Okay, I will not go to the detail. So I can like feel in my consciousness like so like cluttered by things, like and it can be like so kind of useful things too. Like if I have like 20 saris and like whatever, all different clothes for spring, summer, and winter, and it's just like I can feel how the consciousness is cluttered. And I understand that like the people in the renounced order of life, they have nothing because they don't need to like think of the things, or like it's like not thinking of them consciously, but somewhere at the back of the head, like how do I like take care for this? How do I like maintain it? How do I like keep it organized, clean it? It's just like clutter. So over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. Yes, so we can imagine that it will take all our energy away from focusing on Krishna. And talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters. So that's a difficult one. And also it counts like within our own mind, because it's like, okay, maybe like I can control my tongue not to like speak with others about like mundane subject matters unnecessarily. But when it comes to like talking within my own mind, oh, there is so many mundane subject matters. And if the mind does it, no space to remember Krishna. Just no space. It's so loud, like within my head, it's just so loud. I think like if I just could be like silent for like a moment or two, and immediately when I come to silence, I do awaken for the transcendental sign vibration of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Because that's the original sound vibration of the soul, and in that silence, it's naturally there. And yeah, in the loudness, it's not difficult to hear. And the about mundane, unnecessary, yes. Practicing the scriptural rules and regulation only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement. So I do a lot of that for sure. Like, I don't know, giving the water to the deities as quickly as possible so I can go to sleep or something. It's not very helpful for anything, except at least cultivating some habit, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically. So if I don't have a guru, then with my guru, my mind. So I can reject the scriptures and then I can act according to what my mind thinks is good. So that's miserable. Even when I'm thinking in terms of like, how can I, like there is this, how can I like please Prabhupada that I like it? I think it's a lot of, I don't know who asked the question, like Prabhupada, how can I please you? And then Prabhupada replied like, well, how do you want to please me? So even when I'm like contemplating this question, it's already become so miserable because it so much becomes about me, like what I would like to do, what like would be fun for me that I can like by side offer to Prabhupada. So already that, what to speak of like contemplating like mundane things. It's just like thinking, okay, what will make me happy? And then doing like the hamster wheel of my mind going in crazy circles, like, yeah, if I do this, but what if this goes wrong? And then I will, yeah, acting independently is a recipe for misery. Associating with worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, totally I can see that. When I'm in Czech Republic, we go visit my parents or Yogeshwara's parents and they have TV on, and because we don't have TV, I get so attracted to like watch with them, because it's like during Christmas we visit his parents for 2 days and we were watching TV from like morning till evening, and then we visited my parents for 2 days and the same thing. It was like nice TV, like fairy tales, and the Czech fairy tales have like a lot of like God consciousness. There is something in, I mean, not really, but it wasn't like terrible. It wasn't terrible. And I felt so dull and so like gross out and so depressed and so miserable at the end. But the first like, let's say first few movies, there was like some nectar. I could feel that's not like very enlivening. But anyway, yeah, associating with worldly minded persons, for sure, and being greedy for mundane achievements. So I will go to what is favorable. Favorable is, there are 6 principles favorable to execution pure devotional service. Being enthusiastic, it doesn't have to mean, I'm glad that Prabhupada explains in the purport, it doesn't have to mean like, wow, I have so much fun doing this. It's a more grounded, like, endeavor with intelligence. And then endeavoring with confidence and being patient. So it's like I read these two together, endeavoring with confidence and being patient, because for me it goes together, like the trust that the desired goal is there, because I am already practicing 7 years, and where is my pure devotional love to Krishna? Like nowhere. Like all I am actually like experiencing now is like, wow, like there is no love in my heart. It's like more coming to be aware what's there than like, and it looks way worse. Like Prabhupada sometimes give the ghee example, like when we start like with butter. So the butter looks nice. So I have like all these nice ideas about myself, and then I start to make ghee out of the butter, and then the impurities that are coming are not so nice. It's like foam and like smells. It smells to me. I don't like the smell of it. And so I think that's where I am at. So it's like, oh, so after like practicing 7 years, before I had love in my heart, and now I don't feel any love. Like I don't even know what it is. So of course that's the illusion, because it wasn't there before. It was just like illusion that my attachments are love. Then so like confidence that the process is working, and that's why like Prabhupada could just say, always remember Krishna and never forget him, and chant this Hare Krishna mantra 24 hours a day, and it could be his only instruction. That he gave us so much so that we can like be engaged, and also we can like understand the process more. Like when we come to like, wow, I am practicing and everything is like way worse. So, oh, it's actually sign of a progress. Chai. So yeah, I really like a St. John of the Cross writing. He writes about the dark night of the soul. And there is the dark night of the soul, like Lord Chaitanya is experiencing the separation from Krishna, but also he like described the dark night of the soul for the neophytes, and I really like that. And that's it. Like all the weeds are coming, you know, here they use different language. All the weeds are coming up, and like everything looks like way worse. And it's like, and he says, St. John of the Cross says, and there is no time, like the Lord could afford to like take all these weeds out of your heart, but he wouldn't do that, because what would happen? Oh, look at me, I am so humble. Oh, look at me, I have so much love for Krishna. Oh, yesterday evening I just saw Krishna dancing with the gopis in the forest. Like, you like really should bow down to me or something. So St. John of the Cross describes it. So this is like the dark night of the soul for the neophyte, when like all the weeds are coming up, and it's not quite time yet for them to be burned to ashes, because that wouldn't help our humility. It would help our false pride. So confidence and patience. So it will take some time. Like any achievement that has some value takes some time. Like I knew when I was 6 years old that I wanted to become a veterinary doctor, and it took me 19 years to finish the education, and I never opened my practice after that. Krishna got in the way somewhere. But so 19 years for just that. It's like nothing. Like what's the value of that degree? It's nothing. It's like related to this body. It will be destroyed by time very soon. If I don't pay to the veterinary chamber like the yearly fee, it will be destroyed too, or on hold. So yeah, so we can imagine that like to aspire for something that's like greater than any goal we can possibly even imagine, it will probably take some time. It makes sense. is like this austerity to practice devotional service. So austerity means like foregoing immediate sense gratification for a higher desired result. So, but I want the higher result now. So that's not austerity anymore, it's sense gratification. So patience, it's not my quality though. Well, I guess none of them are. Acting according to regulative principles such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna. So that's service. I will go back to it. Abandoning the association of non-devotees, you already spoke about it, and following in the footsteps of previous acharyas. So that there's like time is coming quickly, but I want to speak about the Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. I will read the 9 processes of devotional service. Actually, I will pretend that I have it memorized. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vadanam, Dasyam, Satyam, Atmani, Vedanam. And that's hearing the names and glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, chanting his glories, remembering the Lord, serving the Lord's feet, worshipping the deity, offering obeisances unto the Lord, acting as the Lord's servant, making friends with the Lord, surrendering oneself fully to the Lord. So it's service. So it's a service that's like one of the to-dos. So we can do what's favorable, and that's one of the steps of surrender. To go back with the thread and service, and then like these 9 processes are like speaking about the Lord, and then the Lord has his pure representative on this earth, and that's Srila Prabhupada. So it could also be like chanting Srila Prabhupada's glories and remembering Srila Prabhupada and serving the Srila Prabhupada's feet and worshipping his murti and offering obeisances unto Srila Prabhupada and acting as Srila Prabhupada's servant. I don't know if making friends with Srila Prabhupada, surrendering oneself fully to Srila Prabhupada. So yes, is pure representative for us to do this. And I was thinking in this connection about Nectar of Devotion description of the different stages of like devotees, like the neophyte devotee, Kanishta Adhikari. He only sees the Lord. So when he reads this, it's like always like between me and Krishna. And then the Madhya Adhikari, he also sees, no, they are devotees. They are devotees, and the service is for them too. And then Uttama Adhikari sees everyone is a devotee. So let me serve everyone. And then of course, like making distinction, I could read more in Nectar of Instruction, making distinction, like how to relate with the different categories of what the service means. That I will not go there to pass forward. So yeah, so like to like at least to come to the level of the Madhya Adhikari and see like, no, they are devotees and that is the pure spiritual master and the service is for them. And I actually have one more thing to read. I want to read this. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita. That was our other reading group that we just read. I have so many reading groups. Chapter 14, text 18. Raje kahe amitomara dasera anudasa. Britiera Brityakara ei mora asa. The king replied. So that's King Prataparudra talking to Lord Chaitanya. And King Prataparudra is like hidden. He's not dressed as a king. He's dressed as I don't know how he's dressed. He's dressed to cover that he's king. Lord Chaitanya asked him, who are you? And the king replied, my lord, I am the most obedient servant of your servants. It is my ambition that you will accept me as the servant of your servants. Purport. The greatest achievement for a devotee is to become a servant of the servants. Actually, the greatest achievement for a devotee, it's even better than surrender, apparently. The greatest achievement for a devotee is to become a servant of the servants. Actually, no one should desire to become the direct servant of the Lord. That is not a very good idea. When Prahlad Maharaj was also offered a benediction by Nrsimhadeva, Prahlad rejected all kinds of material benediction, but he prayed to become the servant of the Lord. When Dhruva Maharaj was offered a benediction by Kubera, the treasurer of the demigods, Dhruva could have asked for unlimited material opulence, but he simply asked for the benediction of becoming the servant of the servants of the Lord. Kolavecha Sridhar was a very poor man, but when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to give him a benediction, he also prayed to the Lord to be allowed to remain a servant of the servants of the Lord. The conclusion is that being the servant of the servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the highest benediction one can desire. Okay, so so that's like a prayer, and also like a meditation. How we can be in that mood to like desiring to serve with all our love, with all our heart, with all our minds. And on the car ride back from the Sankirtan, I was driving back with the Frusha family, and we spoke with Damayanti, and we were like high up from the Sankirtan, and yeah, it's not there anymore, but at the time we were. And then we were like really thinking, like, you know, like we were thinking really, and that's my question, that's my theme for this past months, like, what's the difference like between Mother Ratneshwari generation and Kajendra Prabhu generation and Rukmini, Mother Rukmini, of like, what's the difference that like they were like so fired up that they would move mountains for Srila Prabhupada? What's the difference? And that's this, it's what comes out from the super soul. It's like this like intense desire to serve the spiritual master. And then like, yeah, how do we get there? So we meet with Damayanti, we made like a mental exercise. Okay, imagine you knew that Srila Prabhupada in his pre-77 form, imagine he's coming to Gainesville, Florida on 30 June 2022. Imagine he's coming end of June this year. What would you do? And she's like, wow, like nothing would be important. Like I would just like, you know, I would be like out in the street and making flyers and making a website and you know, and I asked her, so what's the difference? Because there is no difference. There is no difference. It's about the desire and the urgency, you know, the urgency. And then we can like create for ourselves, because okay, like let's have event that glorifies Srila Prabhupada in 2 months, and then people get in contact with him, you know, and then like, and let's be committed that there will be 1,000 people. So as Dhiranga Govinda Prabhu says, I don't know where you have it from, if you want to like accomplish something, we need not quite enough time. And what's the second?
Leonard Bernstein said to accomplish something great, 2 things are necessary. 1, a plan. 2, not quite enough time.
Right. So exactly like when, you know, like Cassie is here and she has a Sattvato foundational seminar in 2 months or something like that. So that's great. That's like the not enough time, yes, that like creates the momentum. So anyway, so what do you want to like accomplish for Srila Prabhupada in 1 month or in, you know, 3 months or 6 months? I don't want to go to 10 years because it's so much time. So I'm going to stop here, and I welcome questions, comments, inspirations, corrections of the philosophy that I made up. Like that.
Thank you for the class. So many points in light of what I looked at. You described patience, that there's enthusiasm serve. Okay, then we get the results, we get the higher consciousness. I want that. then it becomes about me. That's impatience. With impatience. Because there's also spiritual impatience, but with the material impatience, then I'm not going to be able to be steadily enthusiastic. And I'll just skip to your last moments in the class there. Yeah, I was moved by that. I was moved by that. About like, yeah. So like, there's no difference. I mean, just like Lord Chaitanya has different deity forms, and Krishna appears as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Jagannath, all Krishna. There's different forms. Srila Prabhupada, he's completely present in his body. We could say, but not devout. Well, that's not true either. So Prabhupada's present in his body. It's about like how much realization we have. If he's not present in his vapu, we're doing something called idol worship, right? With the Morti in the picture. So there's no difference. Yeah, some there's like the pre-November 14th, 1977 vapu. So there's no difference. I really appreciated that you went to like 2 months, 6 months like that. And where I went in my mind was like next 12 hours. Next 12 hours. Because like if I had that urgency, like, well, it's not even like if I could just like do a thought exercise. No, Prabhupada is watching me. Prabhupada is watching me. And so like if I have realization of that, what I'll do and accomplish internally and externally for Prabhupada's movement in the next 12 hours would be so different compared to the typical tamasic rajasic consciousness I'm in. And it's just like, I have to make sure I sleep enough. So that's where I would the next 12 hours. So thanks for that.
I appreciate it very much, Raghavendra Prabhu. When I said the 2 months,
yeah,
in the back of my mind, I thought like, well, maybe that's also like too long because the Kali Yuga mind is just like
2 months. I got plenty of time.
plenty of time, exactly. But the deadline is like tomorrow or today evening. Yes, I appreciate it very much. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so your class, there's a pretty good possibility it'll move me to do more for Prabhupada in the next 12 hours than I would have if I was not here this morning. So thank you.
Jai. Okay, any other comments? If there are no more comments, you can hear about what's the service for the devotees from Nectar of Instruction, or we can close. Most important service.
I like that. You touched on all the major shastra in your class. You spoke from Bhagavatam. You referenced Chaitanya Charitamrita, read from Bhagavad Gita, went to Sri Upadeshamrita. So it's just diverse and complete. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, I will just read the verses from Nectar of Instruction, just for the fun of it, that we have more time somehow. So, 6 things favorable to Kim says, thank you for your sweet class, and it has been so nice having you here. Have a safe trip. Thank you, dear Kim. Oh, she's not. Oh, she's here. So, okay. So, text 4. Offering gifts in charity. Accepting.
I would suggest you do the Sanskrit.
I will do that. So, text 4. Dadati pratigrahnati guyamakyati prechati bhukte bojayate chaiva sadvidham priti lakshanam. Offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasada, and offering prasada are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. So, revealing one's mind in confidence, Srila Prabhupada and Prabhupada describe what that means. And it doesn't mean talking about the who won the last championship in soccer, or it doesn't even mean like talking about the miseries in my marriage. It means talking about our realizations in Krishna consciousness. Okay, and then Krishneti yasya giritam manasandriyeta dikshasti chet pranati bicha bachantamisham Shushrusaya bhajana vigna mananyamanya Nindadi shunya hridam ipsita sangalabhyam. One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation, Diksha, and is engaged in worshipping the deity. And one should associate with the faithful and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others. Right. So yeah, I want to add to this, like that we really need to be careful. Like even like if it's like Vaishnava tradition or different tradition, if someone is chanting the holy name of the Lord or somehow or other endeavoring on this path, to like, if we don't like honor them, if we don't have that like mood of like honor and appreciation rather than like judgments, like who is your guru, you know, and things like this, then we are committing offense to the holy name, and it's actually listed as number 1. Blaspheming the devotees. I don't know where I wrote it. Anyway, so that's all. Any other comments or questions before we close? Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare